Hello everybody, it's the Mighty Glue Stick. My name is AJ. Welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, I do lots of monster videos and crafting. Hi. So today is going to be another monster video. It's another monster ecology video, not a specific monster per se, although I'm going to cover a lot of them, which I'm going to talk about probably later on. And that is Fey incursions and how you can tell there's Fey around by, as a dungeon master, creating an ecology of Fey. And the various ways that you can synergize monsters together to make a cohesive wilderness environment that makes sense. So let's say, for example, you've got a natural portal to the Fey realm, or a weakening of the energies between the dimensions, and a hollowed out boulder. So a boulder has finally, the wind has finally blown that chunk out, and a portal has appeared in between. And probably the very first thing to step through will be those ever so curious little creatures, pixies or sprites. Some sort of small fairy creature will come wandering through, blah, blah, blah. Maybe even a fairy dragon that's just flowing through this shimmery thing because, you know, what's over there on the other side? I don't know. So the first thing that will happen is small fairy creatures will make themselves known. They'll appear in the natural world, and the way that I run sprites and pixies and things like that is they blend in very, very smoothly. So they can set up a house, a city, like a major settlement, and you'll never know, even as you're walking through it, that you're walking through their village. Everything is perfectly arranged in a natural formation. So chaos is their way. The way that nature works is the way that they work. So a clothesline made of spider web, shingles on their roofs that look like buds of moss. It looks exactly like the natural world as you come wandering through. A big mortal creature just wouldn't even notice. We don't have the subtlety and attunement with nature to realize that things slightly out of place are roads, that a crisscross hatching of grass petals that looks obvious to a fairy is just another patch of grass to a mortal being. So we go wandering through their village and crushing and destroying things as we go, and we're surprised that they get angry at us. Yeah, it's a different worldview. So yeah, the fairies have got no problem blending into the mortal world. It's a world of sadness for them because everything dies, and death is so prevalent in the natural world that it becomes almost life becomes almost meaningless to them. So their curiosity quite often takes on a sadistic bent, and they can be quite harsh if they've been in the material world for a while. Otherwise, when they first come over into the material world from the Fey realm, and they've got no experience of the mortality of the creatures around here, that lack of understanding can lead to brutal and horrible things that they do just out of seeming naive, sadistic ignorance. For instance, if they want to find out where the bard's songs come from, they break open his head with a rock. You know, whoops, he's dead. Ooh, how icky. Ah, but look at all the fungus that sprouts from his body. You know. So, okay, so we've established a footwork of the sprites and pixies that come in, fairy dragons, little creatures. Other sort of roaming creatures will come in, and I like to think that the portals have a special place in the ecology of the Fey realm, and they'll attract creatures which prey upon those areas of weakness, those areas of transition. A portal is kind of like a watering hole, and what do you find at watering holes? You find big cats and pack animals and big creatures which come through those to graze. It's a melting pot of the ecosystem. So we look at displacer beasts, blink dogs, owlbears. Those things you find around Fey portals for sure, definitely. Owlbears are known to be nurtured by Fey creatures as protectors of their woodland realm. They like to have an owlbear which is down in the roots of their trees around an elven settlement to keep it safe from anybody climbing up the boles of the epic trees to their village up above. I don't know how they avoid the smell of the carcasses it brings back to its lair. Maybe they just use the elven equivalent of spray and wipe. Anyway, so I like to think that the owlbears would hang around the portal because it gets them an extra amount of territory that they can go and hunt in, crossing through from the Fey realm into the material world or back through the portal into the Fey realm again will ward off predators, disrupt their scent trail, and give them an extra territory in the same space. So they don't really have to do a lot of walking to go and find prey, which would suit them just fine. And they're very aggressive. So they're wandering around looking for something to kill all the time. The Displacer Beast has a natural affinity for portals. I mean, look at the thing. It's out of phase with reality at the best of times, and it's the sort of creature which ambushes things really well. So I like to think that a Displacer Beast might even be lurking around, able to see through the portal. It projects its illusionary self a little bit further, going through the veil between the planes itself. And you may have a shimmering image of the Displacer Beast lurking like some sort of malevolent spirit just in front of the portal as you go through, and the thing attacks you as soon as you go on the other side. Of course, it'll be really hard to detect. Blink dogs, of course, are natural enemies of the Displacer Beasts, and they're, again, slightly out of touch with reality as they teleport from one place to another. Don't think of blink dogs as happy-go-lucky fairy Labradors. They are not. They are pack animal predators, and I think the depiction that they had in the latest monster manual is pretty good. They've got a pretty nasty bite, and they've got fangs all through their mouth. They are not a dog. They are blink dogs because they're dog-like, they're canine-like, but their ancestors are not wolves in any way or form. So, you know, they're more like a saber-tooth or some sort of reptile thing. You know, they don't have fur. They are different. But, I mean, play it how you want. Okay, so other creatures that come through, if a creature such as an Ettercap is being pursued out of the Fey world, or if it'll duck back into the material world and go looking for another portal so it can drop in unawares, sneak into the Fey realm, and do its dirty work, because they hate elves and beautiful things, and they'll burn a forest around them with their acidic, spider-like stink. That sort of thing. So imagine that centaurs, once the portal is fairly well established, centaurs like to roam as well, so they'll come through because they're curious and will go and investigate. And you can have all sorts of weird creatures like barriers, the sort of goat centaurs from some of the more heroic realms in the outer planes. They like to travel around as well, so you can bring them in. Have really weird things, like I had a humanoid snail sort of creature that was really slow moving and talked really slow, but it was a trader, and it came through the Fey portal into the material world to see if it could make some money. Yeah, so interesting stuff. Fairy dragons, yeah, they just appear all the time, and they're really fun to deal with, just how they're childlike and curious, and I like to use them to stir up trouble all the time because they see no difference between like a human and an orc, for instance, and they'll go, "Oh, look, you're friends," and they'll go, "Bleh," and give away your your campsite. So yeah, Fey ecosystems. Very curious, very cool, and if you piece it all together, you'll have adventurers who start to figure out woodland realm lore in a fantastical realm. So it's like, you know, learning the tracks of otherworldly creatures. You know, look at it like it's not just druids and rangers who can learn how to survive in the wild. And yeah, the players will really appreciate the extra thought that you put into creating a cohesive synergy between different creatures and make them expect a certain amount of appearances by these regular creatures when they go into their environment, because a portal is an environment. Thanks for watching. If you've got any comments on that, any extra suggestions for monsters that you use around Fey portals, please leave the comments below. I always appreciate good dialogue with you guys, and thanks for watching.